authentic. So I'm trying to make into like the trend of introduction, but I missed the time. So anyway, you know what I meant. AI. Okay, how many people here are front-end developer? Yay! And so full stack is some kind of front end, so I would not ask you guys if you're full stack or not, but so, yep. And like you see, we don't need to worry about accessibility with AI, or do we? So this is the talk today, and my name is Maya. I'm the lead software engineer in Salesforce. I've been working with... Too much? Okay, let's restart. So I'm a lead software engineer in Salesforce. I've been working with accessibility for a couple years from Microsoft time and before until now. And lately I'm in charge of working, developing some interfaces and on different platforms like core, like mobile, like web. So accessibility is one of the things that I've been working on a lot. And also working with AI and trying to make solutions around AI, different kind of productivity tools and so on. And yep, I have also a podcast. If anyone interested in listening to me, blah, 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 about engineering crew and how to be a senior in this middle of AI era, feel free to subscribe. That's enough for me. So the whole talk about today, I'm not going to introduce to you or redefine to you what is accessibility. Like almost every year that we have accessibility talk, we kind of redefine how we work with accessibility. This year, we don't. So just a small recap. When you thought about accessibility, what do you guys think in your mind? Is it only for disabled people? If you think so, raise your hand. No judgment. Only for visual impaired people, like people have some problem looking at the screen, understanding the color. Well, for me, accessibility is always about everyone. It's actually how people see your app, how people listen into your app, if your app have any video, audio, and how they interact with the app in order to be able to use your app correctly. So it's not just about disabled people here. It's also about the user experience. So accessibility, in fact, is user experience. Think about if you have an e-commerce platform and your user are struggling in complete an order because she or he has a problem of clicking on the complete the order button. He can be a normal human being, just like maybe wearing a glove and cannot touch the screen. That is inaccessible. And that's why accessibility is usability, and that's also one of the criteria to define whether your app is shippable or not. And you don't want to ship something that's not working. Okay. But then, when we talk about accessibility, we talk a lot about guidance, how complexity, and how hard to understand it. So everyone here are familiar with WCAG, right? Tell the truth, I've been working with accessibility for many years, and every time when I look at the words WCAG, it took me a moment to understand what this this acronym means. And that shows you how complex it is. They have a lot of guidelines. It's like a wiki with everything is in detail, an example. Everything is listed out very carefully, but it doesn't mean that when it translates to our production workflow, our engineering workflow, it works. In fact, something is not translated well because of the complexity, that the fact that developer cannot understand very well what is accessibility guideline, how to follow it. It doesn't come naturally. And how many of you, during your sprint planning, and you get a features, the first thing you come in mind is how to make it accessible? Probably not. Good for you. You don't need to watch my talk now. But it probably not a lot of that, because the first thing come in mind, it probably will be how we implement the feature, how we're going to delete the features, how to make it use according to this criteria given by product manager, right? So accessibility is never come at the first priority because of all this complexity, and therefore it's always that the bugs, accessibility bugs, come very late in the whole engineering workflow, and usually it's not part of the workflow. By the way, this number 356 is not a random number. It actually comes from the number that we got from our annual audit for accessibility in our group. So one day, one regular day, we went to the planning for the next cycle, and I got a message saying, hey, we got a 356 bugs from the latest audit, and we got 60 days to fix all of them. That's terrible. That's terrible to tell you the experience. It's like everyone got panic. And so why this happened? So let's take a look at the current workflow, the current engineering workflow. So we all know that when we receive features, what we do, we design, we implement, and then when we finish the implementation, we have tests, we have automation, we have manual tests, and then we finally release. The thing here is the accessibility audit is usually come after you release a feature. It stays independent with the rest of your development cycle. And once you get the bugs, it will be put in the backlog. Only then you will start taking it from the backlog and put it in your development cycle. But that is too late because your development cycle usually go according to a roadmap, go according to quarter, a planning. So you don't have a lot of capacity to accumulate, assign for these bugs, because by then it's too late. And the whole cycle go again. So by the time you fix the accessibility bugs, there's more bugs coming in, because you also ship new feature, and new feature come with new accessibility bugs, and the whole cycle go like a loop. And that's when we're not supposed to follow anymore. So why would I say AI is good for accessibility, or maybe AI can be a good thing for accessibility in this talk? Well, when we talk about accessibility, like we say, the WCAG's website is a great place because it have everything that you need to know about how to make your application accessible compliant, which I don't say is accessible. I say accessibility comply or accessible comply. Why? Because it have all the rules book. It have all the rules. It have all the guidelines. It's like the wiki. Whenever you have some bug, say MA111 something, you go there and you see what is exactly talking about. Whether or not you know how to fix it, that's a different story. And it also, the team behind WCAG, they did a lot of effort trying to make life easier for developers. So they developed some patterns, some common patterns in how to develop a component, accessible components. If you go to their website, they will have another project where you can see they make component in plain HTML and CSS. You can copy the code and change it into React or Vue, whatever that match your need. Sometimes it doesn't work straight away, but this is the starting point. They also tell you what pattern, how you should implement the code accordingly. And that's a great place. And we also have a lot of tools going around it, like the scanner, Lifehouse Score, ESLint, Linter, a lot of things to help us to make our code more accessible. And lastly, you have all these common bug fixes tutorial and everything available on the internet for us to refer. And all of this can be good for AI, right? Because AI know how to search for things, know how to deal with pattern, know how to read and analyze document. So does it mean AI, we can now leave accessibility for AI and walk away? Like the way we do with our test nowadays? Well, in this talk, we're going to talk about 4 different things. First, what exactly AI can handle in accessibility journey. Second, where can it fall, and if it fail, where does it fail? And what other risks if you leave it for AI to handle all of this, we know that they should always have a risk with AI. What risk do they pose? And lastly, how are we going to organize a workflow for us using AI to make our development have accessibility inside and help our work much faster? Okay, so let's talk about the first thing. Like we say, AI can handle almost anything that have a certain clear rules documentations. So let's say explaining rules is definitely one of the number one use case here. You can always ask AI to explain to you what is it area legends is means, how we using it, and so on. It know how to get it because the whole website is a structured data for it. The documentation is very clear. And then it can also detect inside your code what pattern, what component you're trying to write, and suggest what to improve or even write it for you. And lastly, test generation. We always use, one of the first use case for AI in our workflow is test. Like when the time when Copilot is still a thing, we use Copilot to do test suggestion, right? So now we can do that with AI. We ask it to generate accessibility tests for our component. It do perfectly, which means AI can really handle anything that pattern-based, rule-based, and code to code is handle code for us. How many people here nowadays still code manually? Good for you, really. I really like it. But that's a fact. We don't really code and manually anymore. We actually ask AI to generate code, right? So, which means AI will be great on everything, right? Okay, let's take a look at our demo here. So in this demo, I'm going to show you a website that have a list of products. Whenever you click on a product, an icon here, it will open a modal to display more information about the products. And then you can choose to check out or you can choose to close it. Okay. And when I run the website over accessibility check on Lifehouse, I have 86, which is not exactly accessible. There's some problem here. So let's take a look. Okay. And you can see here we have problem. So I go to anti-gravity. 1 second. Wait. No. Okay. So what I'm doing, I go to anti-gravity IDE. You can also use cursor, doesn't matter. Clock also works the same way. And then I ask it to use Playwright MCP to inspect the page and tell it what this have in the UI, and then ask it to identify the accessibility issue, suggest code fix, and draft the AI Playwright test for it. And of course, I ask it to do the scan for X score here and mention anything that we need to handle manually. Okay. So let's say it's do everything, and then it actually give me the test and write the test, and it's also fix the CSS styling for me and make it and add the area label here, which awesome because I'm missing the area label for this button to be accessible. And now it's give me the test, right? And finally, it would generate for me an analysis that would tell me what the problem, what the missing keyboard, what was the fixes, and anything that I need to pay attention afterwards. It works well. And now when you go to the website, how many score do I will get from Lighthouse? 100. It's completely accessible, right? You get it. Now here the question is green. Everyone would think it's green. Is enough? Is it accessible already? Well, that's the thing. AI fixed code pattern, but there's still human validation, human interaction here that we haven't seen in our demo. So here come the things. It's actually an interesting, annoying thing. I have a car, it's Cherry, and they have a touch screen like this. And every time when I connect my phone, it doesn't automatically switch to CarPlay. And I need to click on a button on the screen in order for it to change to CarPlay mode. The problem is if I click a bit outside of the button icon, it asks me to disconnect from my Bluetooth. It's so annoying bug that I'm sure that if you do, AI will not be able to know that because AI cannot touch. But it's fair. It probably pass everything. So you have all this human interaction like navigation, screen reader, and so on. So let's take a look at our demo again. In this demo, I'm going to, you see here 100% passing, right? In this demo, I'm going to add a link. And what the link will do is the link will actually put just a link in the gallery. And here's the thing. Wow. Where is the... oh, here. So accessible. Okay. 1 second. Okay. So if I click on the modal here, okay, you saw the outline. It stay on the close button right here. Right. Now, if I click on tap, where would it be? What will happen? Anyone knows? Where will it land? Well, yes, it's kind of obvious. It will land on continue checkout, and this is not accessible because when outside of the modal. And now, in order for me to go back to the close button to be to be focused on the modal, how many clicks do I need to click? 1, 2, 3, depending on how many buttons they have in the screen, right? In the order. So imagine if you have 100 items in this gallery, how many click in order for user to go back to the modal? Assuming they only use keyboard navigation, a lot, right? So that is bad. And so, but what? Sorry. Okay, let's go here back here. Wow, the banner is so accessible I couldn't even get it on. Okay, here. So here we skip this one. And now if we go back here and we ask it to be what is the status of the test after we add this, it would still tell you that it 100% passing. Nothing is wrong because we have everything according to what we want it to be. And it thought that it does tell you that you change something. It may affect some broken things. What happened now if I'm going to add the same button or link inside the modal? You saw the focus still on the close and not on the continue checkout inside the modal. But by right, when you open the modal, it helps to focus on the first interactive elements in the modal itself. So this implementation is wrong. But the test is failed as this test is passing anyway. And now you're missing one very simple test. The test is to focus have to stay inside the modal. That's all it takes. But in this case, AI couldn't figure out that, right? It passed. So that comes to the thing. We have a very green dashboard, but nothing works. And that's false positivity. And another thing is because now we leave AI to handle almost all our coding and PR, and we end up with how are we know what they're doing it correct? How do you know if they added area legend in that element is actually what you want it to be? Because now we kind of export all our knowledge to AI. We don't have to know those kind of stuff so much. And some will say, okay, I don't need to know accessibility because AI knows better than me. But that's the point where we cannot trust ourselves. We cannot trust AI because who will own this when something goes wrong? There one time that I fixed a bug on my website after so many years. I have an image that I have an on text empty, and I have area hidden is true. And AI scanned it. It told me that the image is not accessible. And then it changed it to a very descriptive text and remove area hidden. It's fine. It's correct. Image need to have description. And then I passed it to Copilot, and Copilot told me, no, this is wrong. You're not supposed to have area untext here. You're supposed to have area hidden because this picture is a logo. So here's the thing, who is right here? And if you don't have the knowledge to know what your context here and what AI is talking about, what the difference between area label, area hidden, you won't be able to detect whether the PR is created is correct or not. And lastly, because we have so much code that can be generated in a second, how are we going to review all of them to make sure that everything goes according to what we want? So all of these are the risks that we have for AI. It's become very, very expensive and long term, and the productivity that you thought it give you is not really productivity. It's actually something called phase productivity, and in the end of the day, you end up with 100 PR and you don't know how to review it. Okay, so what can we do? Here, what we can do, we can put a very clear boundary between what we want the AI to do and what we want the human to be responsible for. So here, AI clearly will handle the code, clearly will help us to find the pattern, to help us to plan and explain things. But the human have to decide. We as engineers, we still need to decide what is the context, what the acceptance criteria, and whether it's safe to ship or not. And with that, before we trust the PR to be able to merge, we need to go through the whole pipeline, which number one, planning, always have to plan. It's always good to plan your things. Stop treating the PRD as it doesn't matter. Stop doing the design review just for the sake of design or writing it after you implement stuff. Treat it as the source of truth. You focus on writing a good design review, technical design, do a good review, plan the intent, and with the AI suggestion, you do it, review together. That will help you to understand clearly what it's trying to do. And of course, you always have to have CI checks. Testing becomes so much important now that's the only way that you can actually validate whether the AI don't do anything wrong. But again, it's similar to human PR. You have to know what the other person is doing. You have to have the PR check, PR pipeline. Otherwise, you won't be able to know in a PR that have 10 files change. You won't be able to know every single detail that may missed. So thinking about that, don't trust it. Trust AI, but don't trust entirely. And of course, you also need to have human validations before. Manual check is always important for the UI because there's keyboard, there's screenshot, there's real scenario, weird scenario that you never know. Like you would think that user will go to the normal flow, but in fact, user actually go there and try driving and try to touch the screen when they're driving, and they will not have enough time to try to pinpoint their finger in that icon in order to go to the right place. So this is how we trust the fix. And with that, what tools do we have in order to help us to work, to make it work? This is interesting part. So for the planning and fixing, we have AI assistant, Cloud Code, Codex, Gemini, anything that you think is good for you. And for automations, I would say that we first of all start with TDD, test-driven development. When you write tests, you define the test, define the acceptance criteria for the AI to write tests, not just go along with it. And you can use Xcore for accessibility, which is developed by the DQ, kind of like the leading in AI, accessibility business. Or you can also use Evan's MCP. Though DQ MCP and Evan MCP cost money, but it's great. I'm using it at work and it's awesome. Unit test with Xcore to be able to detect error label, and anything else like Chess, ESLink, anything that can help to make sure that the automation pipeline, the testing pipeline is secure for any change that it does. And of course, browser validation, you can also have Playwright MCP. By the way, at 12, I think, there's a talk from from Yana. There's a talk from another speaker about Playwright MCP and Web MCP. I really recommend you guys to go and take a look at that. That's the reason why my talk is not about that. Anyway, so Playwright MCP, DevTool MCP, and Storybook. Still the 3 tools that will give you what you need to build your pipeline workflow with AI for accessible. And lastly, human. They're not going to replace us. Maybe we will change from coder to QA, but we still need to validate it. We still need to do keyboard navigation, screen reader review, task completion, validation, anything that need to guard to make sure that it's qualified enough to go to production. Okay, and what does this mean for our engineering workflow? So remember, this is the workflow before, and now, instead of those AI accessibility become outside of the workflow, we incorporate it into the idea, the planning, the design. So I have some sort of template I use for my team. The inside there, we design the feature that we put it at accessibility sections. What is the criteria, acceptance criteria? What is the test? Which requirement, let's say as end-to-end or unit test, is have to be there. So AI will consume it and tell me what the implementation plan is going to do. And when it's implementation, after implementation, we are also add human validation together with all the automations and the validation between the agents. Let's say the agent implemented and do using the automatic Gaia browser agents to validate its own fix. And then we still need to validate it again. And lastly, with all of this, we can release with confidence. And remember the 356 bucks that I talked before in the beginning? So with this workflow, we managed to reduce it to about 50 bucks this year. Though I don't know how we will next year after we fully integrate with AI, but still it's good. It started working and we don't have to spend a lot of time trying to figure out who fixed that and how we're going to squeeze it in our planning. And before we finish, just to summarize, what we can do with AI and what we at the human in the loop have to do here. So AI can do almost everything that is code-based, pattern-based, that take a lot of time to read, but it can explain to us in human language. And us as engineer will have to give it as much a context as it can be in order to help it to perform its works. And to check, validate, and validate. And that said, you should delegate your works, delegate your tasks to AI, accessibility tasks. But to make sure our app is accessible is still our responsibility. And also not just accessibility, everything else. And that's it. Thank you for joining my talk.